Switzerland shamefully favors Chinese regime. Switzerland, a nation of 8.6 million people, is known for its beautiful landscape, high-end timepieces, and diabetic treats. Human rights are highly valued in the country, according to the federal constitution. So, why are Swiss authorities so close to the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, a recognized human rights abuser? In October, France spoke at a UN event on behalf of 43 members. They decried the Chinese regime's treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. But Switzerland, a proclaimed human rights champion, refused to sign. Pierre-Alain Eltschinger, spokesman for the Swiss Foreign Ministry, told VOA that his nation chose not to sign the current statement due to a number of circumstances, including an upcoming strategic conversation with Beijing. Switzerland's fundamental attitude on China and human rights remains unchanged, he said afterwards. Switzerland is worried about human rights in Xinjiang and elsewhere in China. Why, if Switzerland is worried, does it not recognize China's homicidal campaign? Switzerland and China have a close friendship that is expanding. They have been talking since the 1950s, according to the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. If Switzerland's recent unwillingness to criticize Xinjiang's horrors is any indication, any human rights conversation will be short. Nothing, not even genocide, can stop Swiss authorities from increasing commercial links with Beijing, according to the German daily DW. In 2019, Switzerland exported products worth 13.4 billion Swiss francs to China and bought goods worth 14.9 billion Swiss francs. Swiss investments in China have expanded dramatically since the turn of the century, says the DW investigation. A number of Swiss banks currently possess controlling shares in Chinese subsidiaries. Unsurprisingly, China has invested heavily in Swiss firms. Consider Syngenta. Chemical giant ChemChina now owns the world's biggest manufacturer of agricultural chemicals. Not so long ago, the Swiss government stood for something, putting people's rights above big profits. In 2019, Swiss authorities called on the CCP to abolish the Xinjiang detention camps. Days before, released papers exposed the full scope of the atrocities. It looks that the Swiss government has had a reverse Damascus moment. A 6-year-old free trade pact with Beijing has been ignored by Swiss protesters. A secret pact between Switzerland and China was exposed last year. To investigate Chinese individuals who had fled to Switzerland, the Swiss government allowed Chinese security personnel to enter the country for a period of 2 weeks, without official status. Those identified were deported immediately. Many of individuals impacted by the terrible bargain were escaping an oppressive dictatorship, anxious to start again in a secure nation. This arrangement was never disclosed by the Swiss government and was only publicly recognized in August when Safeguard Defenders, a courageous organization committed to human rights preservation, received the official English version of the agreement. Switzerland's surrender to China is alarming and puzzling. Early in November, the country's foreign minister downplayed its opposition to Western sanctions on the CCP. Ignacio Cassis says Bern is busy with Beijing. The foreign minister described the present situation as a balancing act between challenging human rights issues and economic requirements. But delicate themes like the murder of innocent people in Xinjiang have no place on this unique road. The author's views do not necessarily represent those of the Epoch Times.